Before we get started with today's local government news roundup, some news from the VLGA. Registrations are now open for Fast Track 2026, the VLGA's national one-day annual conference focused on incivility and its threat to local democracy. This event will bring together stakeholders from across the local government sector to address the rise of incivility in public discourse and its impact on democratic processes. It will explore how hostile behaviour, misinformation and the erosion of respectful dialogue threatens the effectiveness, safety and integrity of local governance. Participants will examine the causes of incivility, its consequences for elected representatives, council staff and civic engagement, and examine practical strategies for fostering respectful communication and resilience in the face of hostility. Book before December 31 and secure early bird prices. To register or find out more, visit the events page of the VLGA website at vlga.org.au. Coming up, winners announced in the inaugural Mary Rogers Awards for Women in Local Government. Hepburn Shire calls for urgent action after an attack on its CEO. The latest mayoral election results, a new LGNSW President elected, Sydney Council's controversial $20 million planter box contract, Townsville's former mayor found to have lied about his military service, a councillor resigns after a strip club scandal, and UK mayors getting powers to introduce tourist taxes. Hello, I'm Chris Eddy. Welcome to the Local Government News Roundup. That's all ahead today. Plus, warnings the New Zealand government's local government restructure threatens treaty obligations. The Roundup is brought to you by the Victorian Local Governance Association, the national broadcaster on all things local government, with support from Symphony 3, simple, connected customer experiences. It's Friday the 28th of November. Welcome to our week-ending edition of the Roundup. Councillor Kylie Spears from Maroondah City Council in Melbourne has won the inaugural Mary Rogers Award for Women in Local Government. The Victorian Local Governance Association presented the award at Parliament House yesterday, recognising Councillor Spears' visionary leadership and work to champion gender equality. Brimbank's councillor Catherine Nikolic took out the Emerging Woman Leader Award, while Monash City Council was named Gender Equality Council Champion. The awards are named after Victoria's first elected woman councillor in 1920 and aim to inspire more women to stand for local government. The VLGA is supporting a target of 50% women councillors and mayors by the 2028 election. Hepburn Shire Council has condemned a physical attack on its Chief Executive Officer Bradley Thomas, who had coffee thrown at him outside a Dalesford cafe last week. The council passed an urgent motion this week reaffirming zero tolerance for abuse and demanding staff safety protections. The Mayor, Councillor Tony Clark, will seek urgent meetings with state ministers to improve legislation safeguarding councillors and officers. Victoria Police are investigating the incident. Here's our latest mayoral elections update as we speed towards the finish line. Townsville Shire Council has elected Councillor Peter Tolsher as its new mayor. Councillor Tolsher was deputy mayor for the last 12 months and is in his first term on the council. Councillor Denise Anderson returns to the deputy mayor position, which she last held in 2023-24. At the borough of Queenscliff, there's a new mayor. Councillor Donnie Griggar was elected unopposed to the position, taking over from Di Rule, who will be deputy for the next 12 months. Nillumbik Shire Council has elected an all-female leadership team for the next year, choosing Councillor Naomi Joyner as mayor and Councillor Kate McKay as deputy. And Latrobe City Council has elected Councillor Sharon Gibson as mayor for the forthcoming 12 months. Councillor Gibson steps up from deputy mayor, and outgoing mayor Councillor Dale Harriman takes on the deputy mayor role. By my count, there are just 2 results to come to complete this year's mayoral elections across Victoria. You can check out the list of results at our website, lgnewsroundup.com. To other news now, and Strathbogie Shire Council is urging the Australian Energy Regulator to reverse its rejection of 2 critical power infrastructure projects. The council says the proposed express feeder from Benalla to Euroa and upgrades from Seymour to Ngambie were excluded from AusNet's 2026-31 plan, despite chronic outages affecting residents and businesses. The AER cited insufficient demand and cost-benefit ratios, but Mayor Scott Jeffrey says this contradicts community experience. He said the council is advocating strongly to ensure the projects are reconsidered in the final determination, which is due in the new year. 6 Wimmera and Southern Mallee councils have united to form a new regional alliance. The Wimmera Southern Mallee Alliance brings together Buloke, Hindmarsh, Horsham, Northern Grampians, West Wimmera and Yarriambiack councils. These small rate-based councils manage large asset bases and remote communities, increasingly hosting major state and federal projects. The alliance aims to deliver a united voice on critical issues ahead of a state election year. Frankston City's Mayor Chris Bolam has returned from a successful multi-country goodwill tour spanning Japan, China, Fiji and the United States. The delegation included 32 official meetings focused on economic development, cultural exchange and education partnerships. The tour cost council just over $8,000, with the mayor personally funding more than $8,700 of his own expenses. The MAV has named acclaimed Australian author and historian Don Watson as the speaker for the 2025 Mayor's Institute oration on December 4th. Mr Watson is a former speechwriter to Prime Minister Paul Keating. He'll address Victoria's mayors on political culture and civic leadership. Greater Shepparton City Council has renewed its commitment to the Goulburn Region Visitor Economy Partnership. The council contributed $121,000 this financial year, helping secure $350,000 in Victorian government funding. And Surf Coast Shire Council has confirmed the Anglesea landfill will close around 2030 as it reaches capacity. The facility has served the community since 1974, but is now filling its final cell with no options to extend within the current site. The Anglesea transfer station and resale shed will continue operating after the closure. Rounding up more Victorian Council briefs, Tammy Smith has been unanimously reappointed as Yarriambiack Shire Council CEO for another 5 years. Mayor Andrew McLean says Ms Smith has been a highly effective leader over the past 4 years. Baw Baw Shire Council has extended the appointment of acting CEO Mick Cummins through the Christmas period until the 2nd of January. Mr Cummins is supporting the organisation while Chief Executive Officer Tilla Buden undergoes treatment and recovery following a recent breast cancer diagnosis. And Surf Coast Shire Council has adopted a new single-use items and packaging policy, phasing out single-use items across council facilities and events over 3 years. The policy now discourages all single-use items, including compostable ones. You're listening to the Local Government News Roundup for Friday the 28th of November. Support for the Roundup comes from Symphony 3. Symphony 3's Smart Glue solution helps councils deliver simple, connected customer experiences. Like Ballina Shire Council, who recently streamlined and automated their register of payments, delivering a beautiful online experience to citizens and getting a positive return on investment within 5 weeks. Smart Glue eliminates 30 to 40 minutes of manual labour per payment at Ballina. With over 8,000 payment transactions per annum, this new service eliminates over 5,000 hours of manual labour per annum. Visit www.symphony3.com to learn how Smart Glue can work for you. Some news out of New South Wales now, and the City of Sydney is facing criticism after awarding a nearly $20 million 5-year contract for planter boxes in the city's CBD. 9 News reported that the beautification project, managed by Melbourne firm Citywide Service Solutions, covers supply, maintenance and seasonal displays in high-traffic areas. But Greens councillor Matthew Thompson argues the funds could better support childcare, community services and free summer pools. The council has defended the investment as part of a $96 million annual beautification budget and a commitment to 40% urban greenery by 2050. The Sydney Morning Herald reports that North Sydney's iconic Olympic pool is being filled with water for the first time since it was drained in early 2021. The Harbourside facility is expected to open to the public mid-next year after construction handover in February, with the cost having ballooned from an estimated $58 million to $122 million. The redevelopment has sparked debate about local councils managing large-scale projects. Rate rises of up to 54% over 3 years are being proposed, partly to cover the spiralling costs. Inner West Council's Mayor Darcy Byrne has been elected as the new President of Local Government New South Wales, securing 66% of primary votes. He takes over from Hepburn Shire Mayor Phyllis Miller, vowing to ensure councils have a seat at the table with decision-makers. He's pledged to address inequities facing regional communities, particularly around infrastructure funding. The presidency alternates every 2 years between metropolitan and regional representatives. The Mayor of Hepburn Shire, Neville Kashenka, is demanding fairer power prices for the bush and has received support for his stand at this week's LG New South Wales conference. Mayor Kashenka argues it's grossly unfair that regional communities bear the cost of renewable infrastructure while subsidising cheaper power for metropolitan areas. Despite hosting wind and solar farms that generate electricity for the city, rural households pay significantly more in daily supply charges. A typical Narrandera resident pays $1.54 per day, compared to $1.19 in Sydney's Hunters Hill, which has no renewable projects. The motion calls for essential energy to align rural supply charges with city and coastal rates. An Auburn-based business has been fined $35,000 for illegally dumping more than 54 tonnes of asbestos-contaminated waste on the streets of Bankstown. The waste blocked traffic lanes and car parks across 3 nights in August last year. Investigators for Canterbury Bankstown Council used CCTV footage and covert surveillance to track down the offenders. Despite attempts to conceal vehicle plates, the council spent nearly $28,000 in ratepayer funds cleaning up the mess. Mayor Bilal El Hayek has warned potential dumpers that they will be caught and face criminal charges. And Northern Beaches Council has confirmed it is preparing a planning proposal that will update requirements for developers to contribute to affordable housing. Most new residential developments in 9 town centres will need to contribute 3%, while higher density housing elsewhere will have a lower 2% rate with a delayed start. As previously reported, French's Forest's rate will drop from 10% to 3% to align with other centres. Public consultation on the proposal is expected to occur next year. And in more New South Wales news, Blue Mountains Council has unanimously approved fast-tracked actions to protect the increasingly popular Lincoln's Rock area in Wentworth Falls, including increased ranger patrols, parking restrictions and bus access limitations. Lake Macquarie City Council has been recognised as one of only 2 local government organisations in Australia on the Diversity Council's 2025-26 list of inclusive employers. The recognition is based on exceeding national benchmarks for workplace diversity and inclusion. And Port Stephens Council has published its Housing Strategy Annual Report showing it's exceeded its development approval target, with over 660 applications approved in the past year. The Local Government News Roundup is brought to you by the Victorian Local Governance Association, the national broadcaster on all things local government, with a new edition of VLGA Connect coming away later today. Look out for it on YouTube or on your podcast player. To Queensland now, and the Crime and Corruption Commission has found that former Townsville Mayor Troy Thompson lied about serving with the SAS regiment and spending 5 years in the military. The CCC released its report yesterday, revealing that records show he was only in the Army Reserves for 2.5 years, completed basic training and a cook's course, and last served in February 1992. He also falsely claimed to have university degrees, survived cancer, and suffered from epilepsy. Mr Thompson resigned the mayoralty in September and came 5th in the subsequent by-election with less than 5% of the vote. He won't face any criminal charges despite the damning findings. Queensland councils are slamming the federal government after the Bureau of Meteorology announced it will switch off its free Environmon flood and weather system. Councils warn the replacement will cost ratepayers between $10,000 and $600,000 annually, depending on location. The LGAQ says councils face an impossible choice: pay for real-time disaster information or rely on 15-minute delayed updates. Local mayors argue that in disaster situations every second counts, and it could mean the difference between life and death. Construction has commenced on a major roads upgrade in one of Queensland's fastest-growing areas. The City of Ipswich Mayor Teresa Harding said the sod turning for the first stage of the Ripley Road and Fisher Road upgrade is an important milestone in the project, providing the Ripley Valley with the road infrastructure required to support its growing population. She said the booming area is absorbing much of the growth of southeast Queensland as a state government-identified priority development area. And the City of Moreton Bay has been recognised with a Planning Excellence Award for its Australian-first Changing Places Network plan. Changing Places facilities provide specialised equipment to ensure safe and dignified access to public toilets for people with higher support needs. Moreton Bay's plan is the first dedicated Changing Places Network plan at the local government level in Australia. And Mayor Peter Flannery says the award is worthy recognition for the work the council is doing to improve accessibility. Now some news from Tasmania, South Australia and Western Australia. Down in Tassie, a single word in Glenorchy City Council's updated gambling harm reduction policy has triggered what the Mayor called an embarrassing debate. The Mercury reported the dispute centred on the term partnering with community organisations, which some councillors feared could impose financial burdens on ratepayers. Glenorchy remains Tasmania's poker machine capital, with nearly $5 million in losses recorded in the first quarter of this year. The council ultimately voted to adopt the revised statement, which aims to reflect the evolving gambling landscape, including online betting. And ABC News reports on a Launceston councillor's warning that the $30 million Princess Theatre redevelopment is tracking well over budget. Councillor Tim Walker is calling for greater transparency, citing the Albert Hall project, which came in $20 million over its original estimate. The council's CEO, Sam Johnson, has refused to confirm the final costs, but acknowledged estimates are being refined through detailed design work. The project is backed by a $12.7 million federal grant and is currently in advanced design stages. South Australia's Burnside Council has axed its popular Carols in the Park event just days before it was due to take place, according to Adelaide Now. The decision came after forecasts predicted wild winds, heavy rain and thunderstorms that could bring down trees on the expected crowd of up to 4,000 people. Event organiser Darren Baines said the council couldn't risk public safety with large trees at Hazelwood Park and severe weather on the way, and rescheduling wasn't possible due to the scale of the event and the dozens of contractors involved. In Western Australia, City of Joondalup councillor Nige Jones has resigned, citing personal reasons after being found to have breached conduct standards. Jones claimed the cost of a beer he bought at Adelaide's Crazy Horse Review strip club on a city-funded trip, calling it a genuine mistake due to tiredness and unfamiliarity with the CBD. He was censured and ordered to complete ethics training, according to ABC News. WA Premier Roger Cook called the expense claim completely unacceptable, questioning how anyone would think using ratepayer funds for strippers and booze was appropriate. The resignation takes effect in February next year. Making news in the UK, Reform UK refuses to provide evidence backing up claims that it saved £331 million at 10 English councils it controls. The Guardian reported that analysis shows many of these supposed savings are questionable, with credit claimed for initiatives already started by predecessors. Examples include cancelled electric vehicle projects and IT contracts that were already in the pipeline. Local government experts say councils have already made most easy savings, and Reform faces the same austerity legacy as previous administrations. London's Mayor Sadiq Khan and many other mayors in England will soon be able to introduce a tourist tax on overnight visitors under new government plans. Mayor Khan says the levy will raise money to improve the tourist experience and tackle over-tourism. BBC News reported the new levy will apply to hotels, holiday lets and guest houses, with rates to be set by the Mayor. UK Hospitality warns the tax will damage the sector and push up holiday prices for Britons. Special education needs costs will be moving from local to central government under new arrangements confirmed by the Treasury. The change will take effect in 2027-28, creating a £6 billion pressure on government budgets. The Local Government Chronicle reported that currently councils face deficits reaching £14 billion by 2027-28 under a statutory override that ends next year. And owners of properties worth over £2 million in England will face an annual surcharge from 2028. BBC News reports the surcharge has already been dubbed a mansion tax. The charge will range from £2,500 for homes valued between £2 and £2.5 million, up to £7,500 for properties over £5 million. The Office for Budget Responsibility expects it to raise £400 million a year by 2029-30, and most of the affected properties are in London. In the US, Salem's City Council in Oregon has voted to move forward with declaring a state of emergency following a surge in immigration enforcement activity, according to USA Today. The decision came after hours of public testimony, with residents describing widespread fear and disruption caused by recent ICE arrests in the region. Salem joins neighbouring cities Hillsborough and Woodburn in taking emergency action. The council also voted to reaffirm Salem's status as an inclusive city and will host community forums on immigrant rights. Across to Louisiana, where the incoming Mayor of New Orleans, Helena Moreno, has announced sweeping job cuts and furloughs to address a massive budget shortfall. WSU News reported that the city faces a projected deficit of over $220 million for next year, which Moreno attributes to mismanagement by the previous administration. Nearly 100 positions will be eliminated and more than 700 employees will face unpaid furlough days twice a month. The mayor-elect is also slashing travel budgets and consolidating departments to restore fiscal stability. And in New Zealand, Wellington's Mayor Andrew Little says the coalition government's plan to restructure local government represents a pretty serious attack on Treaty of Waitangi obligations, according to Radio New Zealand. The proposal would see city and district mayors take over regional council duties, eliminating regional Maori constituencies in the process. Mayor Little argues this undermines Maori representation on environmental regulation, while the government claims it has considered impacts on Maori rights and designed the proposal not to affect treaty settlements. Meanwhile, Gisborne Mayor Rehet Stoltz says any discussion about restructuring local government must include reviewing the Resource Management Act. She notes that while Gisborne has successfully operated as a unitary authority since 1989, what works for one region won't necessarily work for others. She emphasises this is a once-in-a-lifetime review after 36 years, and the devil will be in the detail. And Invercargill City Council's Play Strategy has won the Outstanding Research Policy and Planning Award at an awards ceremony in Christchurch, recognising the city's innovative approach to incorporating play into urban design and community well-being. The strategy, adopted earlier this year, is New Zealand's first play-specific strategy and provides a practical framework that other councils can adapt to their own contexts. And that's the Local Government News Roundup for Friday the 28th of November, edition number 522. If you have comments or feedback, you can send us an email at lgweeklynews@gmail.com. Head to our website, lgnewsroundup.com, for more news between episodes and for that updated list of mayoral election results from around Victoria. The podcast is brought to you by the Victorian Local Governance Association, the national broadcaster on all things local government, with support from Symphony 3. Simple, connected customer experiences. We record 3 times a week in the city of Greater Geelong, Victoria, on the land of the Wadawurrung people of the Kulin Nation. Our next episode comes your way on Monday. Until then, thanks for listening and bye for now. Support for our podcast comes from Symphony 3, which has announced exciting news. It's launched its innovative Smart Glue platform on the AWS marketplace. That makes the secure and affordable integration solution accessible to government agencies worldwide. The platform includes over 50 pre-built connectors specifically designed for public sector systems, government APIs, enterprise solutions and AWS services to transform citizen experiences by breaking down data silos. Smart Glue delivers operational excellence for local governments through cost reduction, process optimization, improved decision-making and scalable architecture, all while maintaining comprehensive security and compliance standards required by public sector organisations. Get in touch to see how Symphony 3's expanded team and solutions can support your goals. Head to symphony3.com to find out more.